we're going to talk about all the gear we used in Montana.
$200 coolers. I expect a little better. So the Gator waders, not so much. It's a Gator Wader 45. Not impressed, and I really can't tell you anything about the lifetimes.
I've used Princeton Tech lights for years. I love them. I swear by them. I finally wore my original fuel out. This was actually a replacement, and I've had this one for quite some time. But this is a Weatherby Vanguard in Badlands camo with a Vortex 6 to 18 by 50 optic. It is a second focal plane. Now therein, as far as reviews go, for long range shooting, I highly recommend a first focal plane. So we got like 2 things left. We're gonna go over our pack. Now you guys saw the pack before. We were out at the cabin and we kind of did a shakedown. That changed a lot by the time we went up the mountain. And when we get done going through the pack and the things that I used, I want to talk about what this trip cost and what it might cost you. So I've already got some things in storage, so this is going to be a little whack. I'm going to go over some stuff that I carried and some stuff that I culled first thing, just so I can get it packed back up. Because obviously we're done packing, you know, we're done with this stuff for a while. But the first thing was the River Country Trekker 2. I love this tent. I carried this tent on the Appalachian Trail. It's about 2 pounds. The problem is it's long. The tent that I used on the mountain is by River Country, but it's in my pack, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the tent that you guys have seen that I've had for years, I actually ended up not using. This is still a good tent for the typical weekender, for the typical overnighter. I would highly recommend this, man. There's a lot of room in here, and this tent's really comfortable. I really like this tent. The size, and I went with something that was a little bit lighter and a little bit smaller. Basically, I traded a little bit of room, a little bit of comfort for weight. But anyway, the River Country Trekker 2 did not go up the mountain. It actually went to Montana, but it did not go up the mountain. In what I had on me, I actually carried 2 different bear sprays. I carried the Saber Frontiersman Max, and also carried the Counter Assault. The reason I carried 2, one was in my pack, one was on me, and maybe it was a little bit overkill. But I went up with the mentality of, if I do, worst case scenario, have to deploy my bear spray, I'm unarmed to get back to the truck. And I didn't like that. So it was easy to get, just carry one in my pack. They're not that much. This one actually come with a little harness that I didn't use, but whatever. The other thing that I carried, and then right at the last minute when we went up the mountain, I did not carry it. Only because I have a Catadine 3-liter gravity filter, and this is a, I don't know, 36 ounce, 40 ounce. I still love the Grail, again, for the overnighter, especially solo. You know, I was filtering for 2 people, so I don't have anything bad to say, but I didn't actually get to use it on the mountain, so I can't brag about how good it is. The Vortex binos, freaking amazing, 100 times better than my Nikons. And I'm not saying anything bad about Nikon, but these things, man, these things were amazing on the mountain. And I didn't realize the importance of good glass. You know, it well worth the money that was spent. Highly recommend them. I didn't use the Kestrel because I didn't have to worry about wind direction. The Lone Trail Bino harness. This thing is super comfortable. Loved it, man. I wore it and didn't even know it was there. I'll continue to use this, even for, you know, my deer hunting and stuff. My rangefinder worked great. A couple of spots we ranged out was over 1,000 yards. So that's a 1,000-yard rangefinder. So, you know, it did let us know that was not the right spot. In base camp, we use this. Believe it or not, this comes from the Dollar General. It is a just a hooded camp blanket, fleece. It's really not that heavy. Don't have a weight, but I used it in base camp because it got, you know, down in the 30s, and this thing is really nice. Dollar General, 20 bucks. I don't know that I would necessarily put it in my pack to go up the mountain, but definitely for base camp. The K&N Concepts fiber optic with the ball head. Fiber optic. Carbon fiber. It's aluminum and carbon fiber. This is a really good bipod, a tripod, and it held up really well. It was really durable, but I mean, I'll say it's on the heavy side, with the caveat, it's comparable to the other ones on the market, even the really more expensive ones. So I don't really have any complaints. If you're going to go with weight, I mean, it is what it is, right? And this was as good as any, and it's a third of the price. Cascade Mountain Tech trekking poles. I've had these trekking poles for several years. I don't know what to say about them. They're tried and true. These things have been up and down the Appalachian Trail. They've been from Dahlonega, Georgia to Fontana, North Carolina. Now, they've been through the Flathead National Forest in Montana. They've been through LBL. I don't even know if they make these anymore. Like I said, I've had these for years until the handles are all beat up. But they're as good as any. The Cascade Mountain Tech, I highly recommend just these as a trekking pole. I love these things. Had them for years and will continue to use them till I have to replace them, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. I bought this kit, and then right at the last minute to shave weight, I pulled it off my pack. It was my fishing kit. It's a spinning reel combo, collapsible rod, 6-foot rod, spinning reel, and I threw a couple rooster tails and spoons in there. Can't really say anything good or bad. Didn't take it. Took it with me. Didn't even use it. We didn't even do any fishing while we were out there. So, in the clothing, I also forgot to mention my boots. These are Redhead. I don't remember the model. Mountain Trek or something like that. Really good boot, believe it or not. You'd think, with the suede and the cloth, there's a little bit more of a break-in than what I expected. So if you are going to go with these, they've got the sheep's feet insoles. Insoles make all the difference in the world. I will say these are not that heavy. They wore, just dropped one. They wore like tennis shoes. Really good boot. I really, really like them. But it's more of a break-in than what you would think. You would think with that cloth and that suede that they would break in really easy. They don't. They were just getting broke. And I wore them a lot before we ever left. And they were just really starting to get broke in good, wearable, where they weren't hurting when we left. So that is something. I mean, I like the boot. I recommend the boot, but just be prepared to get them broke in good. Alright. I'm going to get this stuff put up and move the camera, and we'll get into the actual pack, because that's all that's left. It's just the pack I wore on my back. So give me a minute and we'll get back to that. So I got my pack over here. What we're going to do, I'm probably not going to be in frame. I'm just going to move the camera and we're going to go through this, I guess, pocket by pocket, because some of this stuff's got to get broke down and stored. So out of the hip belt, extra magazines from my 1911. An extra spoon, not sure why that's in there. My adventure medical kit. This is a real basic, super lightweight. It's this one's never even been opened, but it's some moleskin, a couple bandages, a couple of things of Tylenol, some tweezers. Just basic stuff, and then of course I always add moleskin for blisters. But while I put this back together, let's talk about this pack. So if I like this pack, why did I put it up for sale? Let's address that, because that was the first thing I got asked. Well, I have some other hunts planned. I'm probably going back to Montana next spring. I'm going to East Tennessee this fall, bear hunting. And I'm trying to get drawn to go to Wyoming to hunt speed goats, antelopes. And I like this pack. I don't have any complaints with this pack, other than it's 7.5 pounds. I like the way the pack detaches at these pins all the way down, and you have the load shelf on the bottom. It's really good for packing out meat. But on a 7 or 8 day hunt, I don't like the way, I don't know what that is. I don't like the way it loads. I don't like the way it carries. It would be great for the average 2 or 3 day outdoorsman. I need something I can go into the mountains for a week. So I'm probably going to go with something like a Stone Glacier, or I'm really looking at either the Outdoorsman's Optics or the Initial Ascent. Problem is, I don't want to pay $700 for a pack. I mean, this pack's still $400. A Hornady ammo wallet that needed to come out. It's a tarp. I don't remember the brand. Come from REI. It's great for basically making shade. We ended up never used it. I had it, you know, for a glassing shade. The seat, y'all know who makes them. I dig them. Thermarest. I used it to set on while we were glassing. But yeah, that would be my only complaint with this pack, is I would really like to knock that weight down under 7.5 pounds. That's just my orange toboggan and vest. A buff. Man, if you don't have a buff, I highly recommend you get one. If you spend any time hiking, walking in the outdoors, or sweating, a buff is a must-have. TP. The Catadine 3-liter gravity filter. It's just a bag with a hose. Fill it up with water. Get gravity feeds through a filter. Pretty simple thing. A standard 3-liter bladder, water bladder. Alright. I'm just going to take everything out, and we'll go through it one by one as we put it back. The easiest way I know to do it. Over here we got just a regular microfiber towel, Frog Togs rain gear, and a Badlands pack cover. That's what was on the front of my pack. And a Baco Laplander saw. That was in that front outside pocket. You know, you always need to get to your rain gear. Your pack cover and your raincoat. And then there's just a towel in there. Alright, the kill kit. Game bags. Gloves. I don't remember how many game bags, it was like 5 or 6. My Gerber Gator. Man, I've used this knife for years. Dressed a bunch of animals with it. Electrical tape. Not sure why I put electrical tape in there, but I've always carried electrical tape. and my Browning skinning knife. Another one that's processed a lot of game animals. That's all that was in my kill kit. It was pretty simple, really. Mainly just game bags, gloves, and knives. I mean, but I do like, keeping everything in one pack. So that was the kill kit. Now the way I loaded my pack is I just put the kill kit all the way on the bottom because it's going to be your least used thing. Y'all saw the fire maple stove. It's basically a jet boil, if you ever use a jet boil. They're just a lot cheaper than the company jet boil. Used it up there. I mean, it works just as good. The titanium cup, that's from Pathfinder, Dave Canterbury's company, and a Nalgene bottle. And that's why I ditched the Grail. I mean, you don't really need it. I left with 3 liters in my water bladder, and then, my cup. This is made out of car windshield cover thingy. Just printed that and put it on with a packing tape. But when you pour your boiling water in your meals, like Mountain House, or I use Peak, and you seal it up that 10 minutes, put it in there and close it, lean it up against a rock, holds that heat in, lets the bag, not bleed off so much heat. And then the tent we ended up going with was the River Country Pyramid. You can see it's a whole lot smaller and about half the weight. This is just over a pound, I think a pound and a half, and it's a lot smaller, a lot more packable. That was the only reason I ditched my River Country. Now this particular tent design is it's the body with a vestibule that zips up in the front. You see with that pack, with that tent, you really can't see in there, but all of that is empty, whereas that other tent took up the main body of the pack. So that's what we ended up going up the mountain with. My spotting scope is a Goski 6-81. Believe it or not, compared to Vortex, this was the same weight and half the price. This was used in Montana. It got some miles on it, and I have no complaints. I did not use the adapter piece for my phone. I wished I would have, so I could have given you an honest review of it, but I did not. So, let's see. Ordered this off of Amazon. Believe it or not, it's got a built-in foot pump. I'm just as impressed with this as I am. I had an REI Z-Rest, or I don't remember. Neo Air. I don't remember the name. No, Neo Air, Stummerist. I don't remember the name of it, but it was an REI brand. It got a hole in it. It's what I used in the Appalachian Trail. Loved it. And honestly, this is just as good. It's got an R value, I forget, 77 inches by 26 inches. Weighs like right at a pound. I don't remember. But anyway. And then y'all know my Kelty bag. And my Sea to Summit Eros pillow. Love this thing. It was 38 degrees. And I did have to sleep with clothes on. But I don't really have any complaints with the bag. Really don't have any complaints with the bag. It did really well at 38 degrees. So, I'm going to get this pack put up. That's everything I carried up the mountain. It was that simple. And my rifle, we already talked about the clothes. And then we're going to talk about money. So what did this trip cost? Well, that's a loaded question. It depends on how you look at it. So, I would say the trip cost about 10 grand. Oh my God, 10 grand, I can't afford that. Well, 3 grand of that went to a rifle. Okay. So that knocks it down to 7 right there. Plus I rented a truck because I didn't want to drive my own truck. So there goes another 1,000. So there's 4 of the 10 right there. So that leaves $6,000. A guide is $4,400. At Swan Lake Outfitters, come highly recommended. I don't know anything about them, but that was about the going rate, was 44 and up. So say 4,500. So you're 1,500 over. Well, 400 of it went to a pack that I didn't have. Then I bought glass. That was between spot and scope and binoculars was close to another grand. Better part of $200 worth of food, backpacking meals, and gas money. I also factored gas money into that. We spent $1,200 in gas, about $600 up and $600 back. Once you got out of Missouri, gas was about $4.60 a gallon. Here it was hovering around $4, so gas went up 60 cents a gallon as you went north and west. So that was a big factor. So $1,200 in gas, $400 for a pack, say $800 in glass. 12, that's $2,400. You were only 15 over. Remember, assuming you already have a rifle with a good optic, and assuming you already have the gear. If you want to rent a truck, you know, you're really out gas money and food. And I also factored in, we did eat out a couple of times. We also went to the Crazy Horse Memorial. We went to Mount Rushmore. I mean, a lot of residual. I bought t-shirts, went to Black Hills Harley Davidson, went to Sturgis, and bought souvenirs. So when it was all said and done, I mean, total was right at 10 grand. If you wanted to go do this hunt, a DIY hunt, you could do it if you already had the gear. Assuming you already had the gear, and I'll even give you, say, $1,000, because you might have to buy a pack and a new pair of binoculars. But it's $4,400 for a guide, and we're not going to count transportation up there and back. $4,400 for a guide. Maybe just buying a pack, or maybe buying some new glass. I'll give you a little bit of leeway there. You could do this trip for $3,000 or less. Say $3,000 plus $2,500. You know, if you wanted to rent a vehicle, If you're not renting a vehicle, it's another $1,200 in fuel. Say $1,500 fuel and food. And you could do it for say $2,500. So that $5,000. It's very doable. You can manipulate the numbers any way you want. The trip is very doable. So I'm going to wrap up with my thoughts on a DIY hunt in Montana. So what do I think about DIY hunt? Well, that's the first big one I've ever done. Honestly, it's doable. I'm trying to think of the words. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Do I recommend using a guide? I don't know. Would it improve your chances? I don't know. I think with the technology available to us today online, Montana FWP, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, has a hunt planner, and there's tons of info. I mean, tons and tons and tons of info. And you've got Onyx Backcountry, that'll show you trails and dispersed camping. You've got Onyx Hunt, Cal Topo to get your topo maps. There's so many resources. With a little bit of homework, with a few hours behind a computer screen, I don't think a guide is necessary. Now, I will say what a guide will get you that you won't get on a DIY hunt is a guide will get you access to land. And that could be a big deal. So, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Montana all have programs where farmers, landowners, ranchers can sign up with the state and allow public access on a limited number, like a quota system type. Maybe for a small permit fee. Every state's a little different, but basically it's private landowners that have, on a limited scale, made their land public for public hunting. And there may be some restrictions like vehicles, no vehicles, no motorized traffic, ATV, UTV only, or by foot only, whatever the restrictions are. A guide can get you private land that you can't get on a DIY hunt. So DIY, you're going to be hunting public land. Now, that being said, what I found out west is the public land is just as good as any. A week in Montana, we saw a few hikers. Now, we went to some spots, like we drove out to Handkerchief Lake. There was a bunch of people there. Different spots down the reservoir, like Lost Johnny, there was people. When we went up, we never saw anyone at all. Never saw the first human being. So it is very doable. DIY hunts will save you a lot of money, but they take a lot of homework. Don't think you're going to decide, I'm going to buy an over-the-counter license and I'm going to go to the state and I'm going to harvest an animal, because it's not going to work that way. Realistically, I should have had an opportunity to harvest a bear. I will say my limits, the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, was my physical fitness. There was places that I just was not able to go. That land is rugged. It's terrible. It's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm already planning to go back, but mountain fitness is a real thing. But DIY hunts are doable. I highly recommend you look into it, give it some thought, do your homework. Onyx Hunt, the state fish and game websites, lots of info. Hopefully we're going to Wyoming to hunt some antelope, hopefully. We're also looking into mule deer in Colorado. And, of course, we're still after a black bear. Probably going to hit East Tennessee. I'm going to look into some other states and see what's available. The states and the licenses aren't the issue. It's land where bears are. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the subject. That's what I carried up the mountain. Kind of gives you an idea of where to start. The Alps Outdoors Commander pack with frame, 7.5 pounds. The only bad thing I'll say about it. So if you want to drop $700 on a Mystery Ranch or a Stone Glacier or any of those, I'm definitely looking into it myself. So I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but no, you're going to spend $600 or $700 on a pack. The only complaint I had with my gear. So that's going to wrap it up for this, and that's going to wrap it up for Montana in general. We've got videos on the actual hunt. We've got tips and tricks on for DIY hunting and that land out there. About all I got to say. Remember, if you go to DUBBY Energy, use the code Beach Bluff Outdoors, you'll get 10% off. I'll put links and everything in the description. We have merch over on Teespring. Spring, now I think they call it. Go get you some merch. And, of course, if you want to shoot us a few bucks in PayPal, we just use it to go find stuff to do in the outdoors. So, that's probably going to wrap up the Montana series. I don't know if this video will be the last one or the middle. I'm not sure. But either way, I enjoyed it. Had a wonderful hunt. Hope you guys enjoyed the content we got out of it. And we'll see you in the next video.